All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast, the pod where chaos rules and black culture is supreme. The Chaotic Culture Podcast is brought to you by W Energy, the official energy sponsor of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. Use promo code Chaotic Culture 1 to get 10% off of your order. This podcast will deep dive into modern black culture and how millennials and Gen Z can navigate the crazy parts from music, finances, black business highlights, content creators, home ownership, HBCU, sports, black nerdom, anime, wrestling, and so on. If it encompasses black culture, we're going to cover it. Live from the 843 this time, I am the host and the creator of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. This is your boy, Ked the Pro, aka the Calculated Millennial, aka the Encore Presentation. Now, can I get an encore? Do you want more? Aka Ked the Poet, Ked the Closer, Chaotic Ked, and so on and so forth. The 843 is me, currently residing in my home in Charleston for this week. Always chaotic, never toxic most days. Back again, once again, with your favorite black culture highlights and black culture shenanigans. With me today, of course, is the first co-host and the co-pilot of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. This your boy Law. Please go ahead, Law, and introduce yourself.
Yo, what's going on, people? Good to see you all. Another week, another dollar, another day. Hope everybody's been doing good. It's your boy Law coming to you from the 757. Although, 25 is true. Cat, it's good to be here, man.
Likewise, man. Likewise, man. It's been a minute since we've ran a two-man show, so we got to get back into it. For those who don't know, it was just originally just the two of us. So more people ended up joining us and whatnot from there. But it's good. It's good that we get a chance to do this, and hopefully we got some good topics to discuss today. One thing that I do want to mention is one of our topics. Of course, we're going to table for another episode, and that's the issue that was surrounding black girl gamers on X/Twitter and the whole situation with that. But I wanted to have black women on that particular episode to speak to that, because what happened to them was absolutely egregious, and it just goes to show you that really and truly, when it comes to like black spaces or spaces where black folk are trying to find a safe space, whether it's the game or whether it's to talk about content creating or whatever the case may be, you got so many people out here trying to be assholes and whatnot and trying to insert themselves and trying to make the case for against this whole situation or against black girl gamers. And then you got people who appeal to the them colored folk and try to say some racist stuff against them and whatnot and try to degrade them as much as possible. But again, we want black women to talk about that, so we are going to table that discussion for another time. In the meantime, we still got plenty of topics to cover, but first and foremost, mental health check. Law, how's your mental health been?
Man, life has been speeding a mile a minute. Not gonna lie to you, but honestly, it's been all right. I can't complain for real. I mean, I can, but it ain't gonna do me no good. Um, I'm just ready to see where these next steps are gonna land me.
I feel that, man. I feel that. Kind of the same. I've been all right. I can't complain. I'm home. I was home for Easter. Got a chance to spend some time with fam. And, granted, things may be a little up in the air as of right now, but it's not anything that I could complain about. So, take it one step at a time, one day at a time. And then, if things don't turn out for the best, I have different options to, make my next moves. So we'll see what happens, man. But I'm glad that at least the both of us are both okay and that we're not, going through anything too stressful right now, at least for the time being.
For sure.
Yeah, I know
Um,
how life get.
yeah, man. I just went to the movies today, so I'm ready to get into some of these topics.
Okay, okay. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Real quick, yo. In our first act, we just got to talk about the mess surrounding Sean Combs again. Man, it seems like it is always something with Diddy, bro. It is always something. Now, it's been a while since we've actually, talked about him, and it's also been a minute since we're jumping on this kind of late because everybody knows what's happened within the last week or so. But if you have not heard, of course, Diddy's Los Angeles home was raided. And so uh it's crazy because some of his family members were arrested, And of course, we know that we have sexual misconduct cases against Diddy right now, and everybody has just been commenting or they've had something to say regarding him. And I'm just wondering, like, dang, yo, like, Diddy been around for a long time. I wonder why it took them so long to say something. Now, this is not something against like any of his victims or anything like that. It's just a matter of, dang, yo, when you've been in power that long and now all the pieces are coming together and you see the kingdom toppling, it's really crazy how it all came together. I know it started, really the domino started falling with that Cassie case, and I'm just glad that she, got what she deserved as far as that quick settlement. But still, everything just seemed to be falling in place because people have been talking about Diddy for years, about what he's done and how he's treated people and some of the kinky stuff that he has done. If we've seen what was going on with him and Meek Mill on the timeline, that's a
Hey, ooh.
whole oof. So I just wanted to begin the episode talking about that. Law, did you have any comments about this whole Diddy situation?
um, Kind of just to piggyback off what you were saying. When you've been in power for so long, you forget, and I'm not giving him a point of why, or I'm not justifying, but I'm thinking about cause and effect, if that makes a little bit more sense.
Hmm.
Um, as with any great ruler, not saying he's a ruler though, with any person who is in a spotlight or in a point or place where they have a little bit of power or pull, they, I guess you could say, get complacent. And so all
Right.
these things were happening, and it was like the facade began to crack with the Cassie case, and then the light
Hmm.
started to show, and so now it's just like it's all crumbling away, and now he's getting more and more spotlight into his dabblings and dippings, as we should say.
That's actually a really great point, man. And as you said, the dominoes and the cracks started to form with the whole Cassie case. But for those who want like an official article, I do have the official article from CNN. It says a closer look at the sexual misconduct lawsuits against Sean Diddy Combs. Even before law enforcement raided his homes, the rapper, producer, and businessman Sean Diddy Combs faced a host of legal issues. Since November, he has faced 5 separate civil lawsuits accusing him of a range of sexual misconduct and other illegal activity. One of those cases has already been settled, but the others remain active. Cassie, that one has been settled. Several of the lawsuits allege misconduct was captured on video. In addition, some were filed under the New York Adult Survivors Act, which created a 1 year window for adult victims to file a lawsuit against their alleged abusers and the institutions that enabled them, regardless of statutes of limitations. This 1 year window ended November 24th, 2023. Authorities searched Diddy's homes on Monday because he is a target of a federal investigation carried out by a Department of Homeland Security team that handles human trafficking crimes, according to a senior federal law enforcement official briefed on the investigation. The investigation stems from many of the same sexual assault allegations put forth in the civil lawsuits, according to a second law enforcement source familiar with Monday's searches. The music mogul's attorney, Aaron Dyer, issued a statement Tuesday calling the searches a gross overuse of military level force. Okay, so I'm gonna skip over a couple of these, but okay, we've got one case, Ventura versus Combs, which is Cassie versus Diddy. And let's see, I can skip over that because it says the lawsuit was settled amicably. But then you got Dickerson Neal versus Combs, the basics. Joy Dickerson Neal filed a lawsuit in New York Supreme Court on November 23rd against Diddy Bad Boy Entertainment, doing business as Bad Boy Records, and Comb Enterprises LLC. The allegations: Dickerson Neal accused Diddy of drugging and sexually assaulting her in 1991 when she was a Syracuse University student who had appeared with Combs in a music video. She also alleged she was a victim of revenge porn, saying he filmed the assault and showed it to others. Now, had Bad Boy even been founded at around 1991? Because if my timeline serves correctly, Diddy was still what record label was that? It wasn't MCA. I'm trying to think. Was that Atlantic?
I want to say it was Atlanta.
But don't quote me on that. But I'll make sure that I do my research and find out.
Bad
Uh,
Boy was founded in '93.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. So I'm trying to figure out. He was still with um a different record label. What was the first record label Sean was part of? What was the record? That's just crazy. Not to say that the case is crazy. Obviously, it's just going back to 1991. I'm like, dang, bro, he hadn't even Bad Boy wasn't even established in 91 before Diddy founded Bad Boy. Uptown. Okay, so he
Okay.
was part of Uptown Records. Want to be sure I got that correct.
So
But
he
Diddy's
was at
response,
Uptown before he made Bad Boy in
yep,
'93.
he was, and I remember he was fired from Uptown. A spokesperson said the allegations are made up and not credible, adding the move is purely a money grab. Defendant's response is due April 12th. Gardner versus Combs, the basics. In a lawsuit filed in New York Supreme Court on November 23rd and in an amended complaint on March 12th, Liza Gardner sued Diddy, Aaron Hall, MCA Inc., MCA Music Entertainment Group, Geffen Records, Universal Music Group Nevada, John and Jane Doe's 1 through 10, and ABC Corp's 1 through 10. Gardner accused Combs and Aaron Hall, a member of the R&B group Guy, of battery and sexual assault in 1990 when she was 16 years old. Good Lord, man. She alleged that after they gave her alcoholic drinks, Diddy forced her into having sex in Hall, pinned down, and forced her to have sex. The next day, Diddy assaulted her and choked her until she passed out, the lawsuit states. Where's the other one? We got Jane Doe versus Combs, which is another assault case. This one is unnamed. Lil Rod versus Combs. I think this is the one that caught my attention. Rodney Jones, a music producer and videographer who went by Lil Rod, filed a federal lawsuit in the Southern District of New York on February 26 against Diddy and a number of other defendants. The suit was refiled on March 4th, and proposed amended complaints were filed on March 25th and March 27th. The allegations. The lawsuit specifically accuses Diddy of racketeering, sexual assault, and sex trafficking in 2022 and 2023 as Jones worked on Diddy's most recent album, Love. Jones also alleges Combs did not compensate him for his music producing work. In addition, the lawsuit accuses Cuba Gooding Jr., where did he come from, of sexual assault and makes reference to several other celebrities by name and by description. I had no idea Cuba Gooding was a part of that part. Wow. But yeah, that case I had heard about, and which kind of set the whole internet on fire, obviously. But of course, you got people like 50 Cent commenting, and by no means is 50 Cent the perfect person. Obviously, he's got his own issues, and he's
Yeah.
got his own drama. But y'all know 50 is petty and 50 is problematic as hell, and he don't care. So obviously, of course, they've been. You see the jokes all on the timeline about, did he do it? And you
Right.
also got people where were reposting Diddy dressed up as the Joker, but calling him the Diddler, which I thought was funny as hell. It is
Yo, let me ask you,
so crazy. What's up?
what is this whole thing with DEI?
Oh my god. So getting off topic for a second, but getting back, for those who don't know, DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
And pretty much what's going on is you've got people on the right side of the aisle who've decided to say that DEI is too woke and that it is racist against white folk and the job force, saying that DEI discriminates against white people, which is not the case. Diversity, equity, and inclusion was created not to discriminate against white folk, but that black folk and other people of color and other persons of color and other women would be able to have the same, or at least a fair shot at getting the same positions. In the past, we know that women and people of color were not always afforded those same opportunities because of the good old boy system. And
Right.
so, with that, DEI is essentially a concept where at least the workforce has to at least include people of color and women of color and those who are, of course, part of LGBT as part of their hiring practices, and to give them a fair shot as well. It's pretty much a way for folk to have a fair shot to compete for different positions across America. The problem is that the white folk and people on the right side of the aisle have used that as part of their culture wars to try and say that these are woke hiring practices, and we all know what they've done with the word woke, which was initially, mean to be aware of, your surroundings and things like that. And Steve is joining us, ladies and gentlemen, so give me one moment.
What up, gang?
Yo, what's going on,
What up,
Steve?
man?
Yeah, bro. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You driving?
Yeah, I'm driving, of course.
Okay. Okay, but continue to be safe while you're on the road. But pretty much that's what DEI is, and so though he left, I guess he'll come back in a moment. But Loft, pretty much what they've done is they've tried to, for lack of a better term, bastardize the term, just as they've done with other terms that were within the black community. And what somebody was trying to do, especially with the whole Baltimore Bridge situation, or the Key Bridge in Baltimore situation, was say that the mayor of Baltimore was a DEI hire, which doesn't make any sense because, one, he wasn't hired by an HR department; he was a duly elected official.
That's
So
wild.
yeah, and so of course he spun it on his head, and it was just like he's a duly elected individual. That's what DEI stands for. But somebody on Twitter had to make that. I was trying to call him, DEI, and so people realized that, oh, DEI is just another term for the word for the N word. Trying to keep it a buck because I know this is YouTube and whatnot. So that's why you saw all those DEI jokes on the timeline, because they were in place of the word nigga. So
Gotcha.
yeah, it's us reclaiming what that means, because clearly that person meant it as a way for him to say the N word without actually having to say the N word, so that way he can't be looked at as racist. But that's what DEI is.
That's wicked.
But Steve, before you joined in and before Law actually
Yeah,
had asked the question about DEI, I did want to ask, did you have any comments about Diddy and all of his ongoing lawsuits, or any jokes that you can add? Steve is muted. Well, hold on. He just responded in the chat. No, Steve, you are muted. But either way, that's kind of what's going on with the whole DEI situation, and that's kind of going on with Diddy. So it's for our audience members, of course, if you're watching or if you're listening, if you have any comments about that, of course, please, feel free to ask us on the timeline. You can message us, you can DM us, or you can just, talk in the comments about, how you feel towards this whole DEI situation, and why people have started using that as a way to attack people of color. And of course, you know where it all started? Florida.
Well,
You
I'm out.
already know. Yeah, bro. But Steve, you good?
yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, there we go. I was like, I got to make it somehow, some way to this pod.
I appreciate you pulling up, man.
Yeah, of course, of course.
So I was just asking, did you have any jokes regarding Diddy's lawsuits, and the ongoing situation with him and his houses getting raided, and things like that?
Hey, the diddler was probably the craziest thing I had heard throughout all of this. I was like, the diddler is crazy, man.
Uh,
Hey, he was out of pocket. He was out of pocket.
Bruh,
And
when I
then
saw that,
and the pink cocaine, I'm like, Miami, what you doing? I was like, what are y'all doing? It's all
oh
crazy. Even
yeah,
the
that's the
cocaine is kind of sassy.
yeah,
It's,
bruh,
it's
it's just
wild.
nuts. That was the other part that we missed. Apparently, when we were talking about Diddy, we forgot to mention the whole situation with Young Miami, aka Carisha. But apparently, she is being targeted because she was working as a, what was it, a sex worker for Diddy, pretty much running
Yeah,
with yeah. That's wow.
it's crazy.
I
And
mean,
you know what? Like, it was shocking, but a lot of her music is scheming and plotting and stuff like that. So I can't put it too past her. If she was rapping real life back in the day, then I can't really put it too much past her.
Honestly, I can't either, to be real with you, man, because look, JT got locked up for credit card fraud, and clearly, they was rapping about that life. So I can't put it past Carisha either. Like, if you
City
was
girls up or down?
down right now, all the way down, city goes down by a million at this point. Especially you being involved with Diddy. Oh God, ooh, ma'am. But in any case, yeah, that's what's been going on with Diddy, guys. It's kind of crazy. So I'm just hoping that those who have filed the lawsuits, they're able to find some sort of justice as well as some sort of peace of mind. And for those of you who still caping for Diddy, I mean, that's on you. I I got no comment. Has he made great music over the years? Yes, or yes. Has he produced great music over the years? Yes, but obviously, just like certain other people who we cannot name on this podcast, literally, if you've done what people have said you've done, then you've got to be held accountable.
Hello.
That's all what it boils down to. And I've known this for the longest, but I just want to say this, man. Diddy need to pay them folk. You got the money, pay these people, man. There were so many people who left Bad Boy because he would not pay them what they deserved. And I'm just glad Cassie
Yep.
got her payment. So it's a moot point now, because if he goes to jail, or if he gets if he settles out of court and whatnot for whatever they're suing him for, cool. But it's just absolutely crazy, man. Pay your musicians, pay your producers, pay your artists.
Yep.
That's all I got for that
Shouldn't have
segment,
took that
guys.
long.
You said what?
I said it shouldn't have took that long for Mace to get his money.
Bruh.
And Mace didn't even really get his money. He just got his masters, but he really didn't give him no money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm saying, bro, man, Mace got cheated. And
bro,
that's
and
and
then
that's
I remember he was on the Breakfast Club and he said Mace owed him $45 million, and I was like, how Mace owe you money?
Right.
yeah,
But it was crazy, bro. Like, yeah, Diddy been on that.
The
yeah,
diddle
man. And
again.
it's sad because Craig Mack, left Bad Boy, and unfortunately, his life took a downward turn before he passed away. But even him, I know that he got cheated out of a lot of stuff with Bad Boy and with Diddy. So, rest in peace to him. And who knows how much Diddy actually held from Biggie, for real. But we'll never hear that story, obviously. So,
Hey, I saw some. I don't know if that's like conspiracies, but they were saying Biggie was about to leave Bad Boy, and then all of a
mm,
sudden he met his demise.
uh-oh.
That's what some of the rumors was going to. I don't know how true they are. If it's just YouTubers coming up with their own theories, but I was
Speculation.
definitely went down a rabbit hole of watching those videos though, and I was like, that's crazy.
I would not be surprised, considering how far deep down the rabbit hole I went, considering Pac's death and how what Diddy might or may not have had to deal with that. So it ain't looking too good for Puffy. That's all
The
I'm gonna say.
Diddler.
The Diddler is still crazy, bro.
Hey, I don't
That
know
is,
what's crazier, the Diddler or the Pied Piper, because they both that's both crazy as hell.
and I
That-
literally just mentioned the person that we cannot name on this podcast, but yeah, the Pied Piper
oh,
was a great. No, but see, we can use aliases, and the Pied Piper is a great alias, and so I
that's
won't
a
say a great
demonic.
alias. It's a demonic alias, but it's an alias we're gonna use regardless.
That
Yeah,
shit is
it is.
demonic.
It is. Yeah, especially after those lawsuits came out, and then I started saying like, didn't he call himself the Pied Piper? Not Diddy, the other guy, but I'm like, didn't he call himself the Pied Piper? That's kind of oh, that's that's
And
that's mad nuts. Like that's
it's
crazy.
cynical. It's like
Yeah,
the whole thing is that the Pied Piper can't be caught. It was like who was working on his team at the time, just like letting him get away with this. I'd have been like, yo, what are you doing, bro?
I think it's more so funny because, like, if you know, in DC, the Riddler's statement was, "Why so serious?" No, that was the joking, but it's still like Why so serious? And now he's on the run allegedly and can't be found. Like he's literally being a part of his villain arc right now.
Carmen Didiego. It's crazy.
Carmen Didiego is crazy for real, but it fits. It absolutely fits.
Why so serious?
All right, y'all. Let's get off Sean Combs for a second. Quick check. We're gonna do lit, mid, or miss. I only ask that everybody choose one thing that is either lit, mid, or miss. Not one that's lit, not one that's mid, not one that's a miss. Just choose one thing to talk about and whether that was lit, mid, or miss.
All right.
So, and it could be a new show, a new game, or some new music. So whatever you decide. For me, I am actually going to pick. Uh, no, not that album. I'm gonna save that for the next discussion. But honestly, I'm going to pick Tyla's album, her
Mm,
self-titled album, and it's not bad. It's mid. I think
okay.
it's like borderline great or borderline good. Like I would give it a mid, a lit, but it's not there. But I think it's a good debut. So if I had to give it a score, I'd probably give it a 7. It's a decent album for a newer artist that's coming out. If you're not familiar with Tyla, of course, she has the songs Water, and she also had Truth or Dare. She is a South African colored artist, as they would like the term, which means that, of course, she is biracial with black and other races as well. But her album was really decent. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a quick listen. It's only about maybe 40 minutes, if even that. Might be a little less, but it's not a bad album as well. It's a good album that you can groove to, and I think that she's on a good trajectory. And if she plays her cards right, she can actually be a pretty big artist. But she does have some bangers on that album. But outside of the ones that were the actual radio hits, there's not like a lot that I would probably return to. But if I had to go back and choose a couple of songs from her album, I'm just going to say uh Art was cool, was really good. Jump is decent. And there was another one. I want to say not the remix, but number one was too short for me. It was her and Tim's, but it was a good song, but it was just way too short.
Mm.
So, but that would probably be the other thing that I recommend. But yeah, the album itself is cool. It's a great listen. You know, you go work out or clean the house, and you'll get through it. So I'm gonna give it a 7. It's mid.
Okay.
Fair enough. You want to go? No?
I'm gonna go with anime. And I'm torn between two, and these are recent drops, if you want to call it that. Right now I'm finishing up Solo Leveling and High Card, and I'm gonna go. It's a hit for both of them. Or lit rather. Solo Leveling. I like
Gas.
the progression. I like the progression for sure. Um, and the actual plot, I like how they're going with it because it's going to lead up to a certain battle that I'm actually looking forward to happening. Um, I'm not trying to spoil anything. Um, and then High Card, that was a different scenario based off of a deck of playing cards. It gave me what's that Netflix series?
Kakaguri.
No, it's a Korean live action based off of
Oh, Alice in Borderland.
Alice in Borderland.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
That's what High Card gave me remnants of, just watching the plot and how they went about trying to acquire all the cards. And I feel like if they, because I haven't seen a anime for High Card, so I don't know if it's an original animated series or a manga rather. Excuse me, but I'm looking. to see how they'll incorporate, or if they're going to be able to incorporate a second season into High Card, because I like the plot. Like, although they got rid of the main antagonist, I wonder if they can spin it to bring back a second season. But those were my lits.
Fair enough. I got a lit one as well. Sir's album, Sir's new album is fire,
Yes,
bro.
yes,
That
yes, it
shit
is.
is
Yes, it is.
super fire. It sucks that a lot of stuff right now is getting overshadowed by a lot of things that's going on. But like Sir, Tyler, like you said, like they dropped some really nice albums. Big Sean had a really dope Tiny Desk that's just getting overshadowed. Big Sean is just having bad timing with everything that he's doing right now. Like it's just, it was like he dropped a song and then it was the same day as the J Cole Drake diss. Then it was like on his birthday he decided he was gonna drop another song, but that's the day that Diddy house get raided. And then it's just like he's just having bad luck. And then his birthday happens. It just was like real. It was his timing has been really bad right now, and
It
it's
has.
I think his birthday happened, and his birthday was like when Beyonce dropped. It's just like, goddamn, like you know what I'm saying? Like,
He
but
can't catch a break.
overshadowed. A lot of stuff is getting overshadowed right now. But that Sir album was fire, bro.
Definitely promoted like a sense of self healing, and actually getting to a point of wanting to be healed. You know.
Yeah,
Facts.
absolutely. Because if I'm not mistaken, he's just recently become sober. So
Yeah, within
hearing
the like
that,
last 6 to 8 months, something like that.
yeah, yeah, and then hearing that album and using that in conjunction with him going sober, it's like, wow, man, it really is some heavy stuff on there, which I guess, hence the name of the album being heavy. And I appreciate him being so vulnerable on that album, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, some people will try to compare it to, of course, his previous two albums on the TDE, but Sir has not dropped a bad album at all. Like all of his
At
albums, I
all.
have 100% loved. So yeah, shout out to Sir, man. I'm glad he's doing a lot better, and I'm glad that he wants to heal. So
And I feel like KJ, this is actually music he wants to make and drop.
mm-hmm.
This isn't a mainstream or a radio type tier album. He dropped this because he is literally putting out here the whims and the battles and the struggles and the tears, the sadness, the healing, everything that he's been through to get to the point where he can now say and profess and sit and be in the idea and show happiness. And I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's kind of funny because I think November and Chasing Summer, they're not really like radio strong albums anyway in itself. But I know for a fact that Heavy is definitely not. This is music that he really wanted to make. And you make an excellent, excellent point. So definitely a big shout out to Sir. And I'm glad that he gave us the album that he did. Again, a lot of it got overshadowed with Kendrick lighting the internet on fire once again on a Future track.
I was about to
And
say, Lord Futurist.
now, again, if y'all saw my reaction video, obviously I break down the lyrics. Now, this is, of course, all before new information came out. I was trying to do a breakdown in real time for when that song came out. But honestly, that breakdown video has gotten the most views on our YouTube channel than any of our other episodes. And that's kind of crazy. Like it's almost at 200 views.
Word.
So yeah, man, popular topic. I knew that we had to talk, or at least I had to talk about it. And so I remember listening to the album late at night, and I'm just like, okay, I got to talk about this song. We got to break down the lyrics. So, of course, it's posted on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked it out, of course, just look for K.Bike, and it talks about the like that lyrical breakdown. Now, of course, more will be added to that maybe, but as you see, as time has gone on, people have been able to decipher lyrics more than what I was able to. But this was just, of course, my quick reaction after the first or second time that I heard the song. So with that in mind, I do want to talk about Beyonce's album. Now, I know Law has not listened to this, and I just wanted to give at least my opinion of Cowboy Carter. Now, I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan, but one thing that I will say is that Beyonce does not do anything without at least doing prior research. Like she's not gonna go out there and put no bull out there without at least doing her homework. And she did her homework on this album. Now, for me personally, I'm not the biggest country music fan. I will say that wholeheartedly. I liked this album. And so that means that, of course, I'm like, you know what? I might need to go and listen to some more black country music artists. Because if you know the history behind country music, it was originally belonging to black folk. Let's be real, but obviously things have changed now. But I do appreciate what she did for this album. And the only criticism that I have is that the album was full of a lot of ballads. And I wanted more square dancing and a lot more juke joints and a lot more joints that you might have heard out of the chitlin circuit back in the day. But that does not take away from the album itself. And so, what I wanted to show, of course, the standout tracks for Cowboy Carter. If you have not listened to it, please do yourself a favor and listen to this, even if it's just a one-time thing. You know, it's long because it's an hour and 18 minutes. So I will say that American Requiem is like the start track or just the intro track, and it does really well. Blackbird has a lot of black country artists on there, and of course that is a cover of the Beatles song Blackbird. Please listen to that. It's such a beautiful song. Y'all know about 16 Carriages, of course. You know about Texas Hold'em, but a strong standout track for me was Bodyguard. Bodyguard reminded me of like a country hit, a Beyonce song, and then something that the Gorillas made in the past, and it kind of just blended it together into one track. So, Law, if you don't do nothing else, listen to that song Bodyguard. And if you don't
I
like
got
it, then I mean it is what it is. But yeah, Bodyguard is that one off the album that I enjoy above all others. Of course, Jolene. Now, Jolene is of course a cover of Dolly Parton's Jolene, which has been covered I don't know how many times at this point. Jolene is probably one of the most covered songs ever. But Beyonce adds her own little twist to it. Instead of begging Jolene not to take her man, Beyonce is warning Jolene to stay away from her man. So she kind of flips it on his head. So I would say, if you wanted to listen to it, you can. It's different. It is a very different twist. But obviously, Beyonce's life is not Dolly's life. So she had to put her own spin on it.
that part.
Yeah. Daughter is interesting. Spaghetti is different because it feels more like a rap song than a country song. But then again, if you know where country music is now and how a lot of stuff is starting to blend into country, like a lot of pop and a lot of hip hop and a lot of trap have started blending into country music, then you know that this ain't too far off.
Trap
Uh,
country is wild.
Hey man, shout out to Shabuzi. He's trap country, pretty much. He's a black country artist, but it's pretty much like blending in hip hop and trap with country. So yeah, it's wild to hear, but it's out there. So you got that. Of course, you got the duet with Miley Cyrus, Two Most Wanted. I definitely recommend that. And Desert Eagle is a great song, but it's way too short. It's like it's a tease. It's a tease. And then the girls have to have one, of course. Tyrant is all the girls' favorite right now. And then there's Two Hands to Heaven. So those are like the real standout ones, I think. Oh, and Daughter is an interesting track as well because it blends, that old school country, and there are some opera elements to it. But I'll let you listen for my audience if you have not listened already. Overall, though, I'd say that Beyonce is really, if you're expecting like another R&B album from Beyonce ever again, I don't know what to tell you. you may never get it ever again, or you can just go and listen to her old stuff at this point. If she drops another R&B album, man, it ain't gonna be for a while. But I just want to say, particularly this album was well done for what it was. It got me interested. It got me, listening to her vocals. This is probably her best vocal album in a long time. And if she don't get album of the year off of this, I don't know what to say because I've listened to a lot of Taylor Swift's albums and I'm not impressed. But that's just me personally. Taylor Swift's music is not really for me. And technically, this album itself isn't really for me all in that respect either. However, I still enjoyed it for what it was, and I still enjoyed Beyonce's vocals. Like she's got some crazy vocals on there. So, again, if I were to score this album, I'd say strong 9 out of 10. I again want more fast paced tracks, but she still did her research. She still did what she had to do. She thoroughly made each song feel like an old Western movie, and I think that's what she was gunning for. So she better get album of the year at the Grammys. That's all I'm gonna say. She better get it because it deserves it.
I'll have to look into it.
Yes, sir. I don't know if Steve is back from getting. He took a little break because he had to get gas in his car, but I did want Steve to try and talk about it a little bit. But whenever he comes back, of course, I'll have him talk about his listen and what he thinks because I know he listened based on our other group chat. In the meantime, while Steve comes back, Law, you said that you saw Godzilla Kong. Can you tell me, without spoiling it, how was it and do you highly recommend it?
Yes. 10 out of 10 for sure. Um, and it ties in. I'm gonna say there are a lot of tie-ins from the previous movie that had all the other Titans in it.
Oh, so
Uh,
there's a lot of tie-ins from like King of Monsters.
yes,
Okay.
correct. There are a lot of tie-ins from that, and I like the fact that they did do those tie-ins because it gave the movie a little bit more feel. Like it wasn't just what you would expect your typical um, Godzilla King Kong movie to be. Because I mean, they've done Godzilla, they've done King Kong, they've done Kong Skull Island. Like it, it really like the title itself should give you a better idea of how the movie is truly shaped.
Mm, okay. Bet. I'm looking forward to
There's
seeing this
and
movie.
then there's a lot of surprises in there too. Just with people collaborating with each other and things of that nature. Yeah, for sure. It's one of those like you don't want to miss 1 minute of the movie type situations.
Got you. Looking forward to it. Steve, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, real quick, just to bounce back to Cowboy Carter. We just wanted to get your opinion on it if you listened to it.
So I did listen to it. For me, like I think the music was beautiful and everything like that, but it had a lot of ballads on there, and that's
I
not
said the
really
same
my
thing.
thing. For me, I mean, not even necessarily not my thing. It just wasn't what I was expecting, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Especially coming off of Renaissance, where I was just like really, really locked in. But I still don't have a problem with it, and I know that it'll grow on me. I'll probably listen to it another 5 or 6 times before I make an ultimate decision. But on first listen, I was all like, man, there's a lot of ballads on here, like a lot. And then like once it started to speed up at the end, I was like, oh, okay, but then it was already pretty much over. You know what I'm saying? Like I was all
Mm-hmm.
like, oh dang, so we're not gonna get a lot of that. But I mean, we do still got Act 3 coming, so I ain't too much tripping.
Yes, indeed. And I pretty much said the same thing. Is that my only criticism of the album is that there was just a lot of ballads on there, so it made the album pace like very slow. And I wanted more square dancing and juke joints on there and stuff from like the Chitlin Circuit. But still, for what it was still a great album. Still composed well, still written well. and the vocal variety and the stems that she had it on there were phenomenal. But yeah,
And
I'm looking forward
20,
to.
yeah, for that the pacing of the album to be that it was with 27 tracks, it was like you get to like track 8 or whatever, you like, dang, I got 19 more. Like it was kind of like one of those type of things for me. But once it picked up, it picked up. I I, I will say one thing I wish we could have got more of. I wish we could have got more of our black artists from the country music genre in that album.
Hmm.
Um, Getting Post Malone and Miley Cyrus and things like that is cool. But you know what I'm saying? There are black country artists, and it was like, you know what I'm saying? You should have let them shine. You know what I'm saying? Gave them that extra oomph. I think, like people like Benny Blanco and things like that. But
Hmm.
that would be like my only other criticism of it. But I still didn't have a problem with it because the songs with Miley Cyrus and Post Malone and things like that actually went hard. So it's like I can't be mad at it. You know what I'm saying? Like it still worked.
Yeah, and to your point, like I did want more. Um, like we got a little bit of Willie Jones on there, we got a little bit of Shabuzi on there, we got a little bit of Tanner Adele, and who was the other one? Brittany Spencer. And so we had some black country music artists on there. It's just it wasn't a lot, but I would like for if they ever do something like that ever again to have them be more prominent. But still, I'm glad that they were at least included. All right, so I think we've done an extensive cover on Cowboy Carter here. So for new watches, now Law just said that he saw Godzilla Kong: The New Empire, and he pretty much he gave his recommendation for it. Now for me, as far as like any other new watches and listens that I've had, of course I've listened to the Sir album already as well. I did listen to Big Sean's freestyle. I hadn't got a chance to watch his Tiny Desk yet. That's on the list. But as Steve said, it seems that Big Sean's timing has just been off the entire month of March. It's
Yeah,
nuts, but still,
it's crazy.
it is really really crazy. But still, I do plan on watching that because I do like Big Sean and I do respect his artistry. So I'm definitely going to check it out. As far as like new watches, now if you have not paid attention to like the other podcasts we were part of, obviously X-Men 97, please do yourself a favor and watch it, especially if you watch the original animated series that came out in the 90s. It is so good. Like it's so great. And Law also mentioned, solo leveling. I just finished solo leveling the other day, or at least the first season. I can't wait for when the next one drops. Solo leveling has been absolutely fire. It has been the highlight of this winter season. I know a lot of people were into like the romance anime and whatnot, which is fine. I haven't got a chance to like really dive or deep dive into anime like A Sign of Affection, which is highly recommended by the girls. But still, solo leveling has been my and freelance obviously, but solo leveling has been that workhorse for me. Like it carried me through this winter season. Like, all right, I'm ready for spring now. Let's get it.
That and
So
Shangri-La.
yeah, see, I haven't finished Shangri-La Frontier. I'm on episode 16, so I got a few more before I finish that. But yeah, I do like Shangri-La Frontier as well. It carried me through the fall and for part of the winter season. Steve, you got any new watches?
Uh, so I watched on Netflix. There's a movie called Code 8.
Mm.
And then I guess the second part came out over the weekend. And I kind of like was recommended to watch it. And at first, they was like, go in blind, but we just want to hear your opinion. And it was because it kind of had like the same premise for one of my stories that I'm working on. So it was like, oh, okay, but it's pretty much Code 8 is 4% of the population has superpowers, and
Mm-hmm.
but they're outlawed. The powers are outlawed and stuff like that. Anybody with superpowers is outlawed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so pretty much that's what it is. And it's kind of like the first movie is just like a big ass heist that they do, and then the second movie is like one of the guys from the heist ends up like making superpowers more acceptable. and
Okay.
it's supposed to be later on in the future. It makes it more acceptable, but then you find out like there's some corruption going on, but they don't say from which side. So like it's like, dang, we've been following this dude, and he could be corrupt or somebody else. So that's how the second one goes. But that was really good. I really enjoyed that one. Um, and then what else did I watch? Oh, I'm watching. I'm ready for the finale for Invincible for the
Yep.
second season. That's what I'm waiting on.
That's
Yep. Yep.
Amazon Prime, right?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Invincible has been crazy. I really hate the way that they broke up this season, but still, I've still enjoyed it. So I'm ready for that season 2 finale.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
As far as anime, the only thing I've been watching is Undead Unluck. I got caught up on that, and that's all I watched anime wise.
Mm. I still have to catch up on Dead and Luck. I fell behind a little bit, but I was in the middle of trying to binge it before the end of the season got here. But still, that is something that I will take care of hopefully before the next time that we pod. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick pivot. Again, I told Law this already at the beginning of the episode, so Steve, just so that you're not, alarmed or anything, we're going to pivot the talk about black girl gamers and the criticism, the unnecessary criticism that they've received from pop color folks, and we're going to table that for another week because we want to make sure that we have black women, especially black women who game, to come on here and discuss that situation. So we're going to leave that for now, but in the meantime, we'll talk about some other stuff before we wrap up here. Final Four, guys. The Final Four is also this weekend, but it's also WrestleMania season as well. So this is going to be quite a jam-packed weekend. Now, if you are familiar with the men's basketball tournament, obviously the Final Four include North Carolina State, which is on an incredible run right now, going up against Purdue, and then of course you got Alabama going up against UConn. Now, my prediction from here, I know NC State is probably the Cinderella favorite. Everybody is cheering for them and things like that. Me, who I expect to win is UConn. UConn looks like they cannot be stopped right now. They look like an entirely different team. It looks like it's UConn and as everybody else, and they might repeat. So if I had to put my money on somebody, it's gonna be UConn that ends up winning the men's tournament. That's just how I see it. I think Alabama has a great team and a great 3-point shooting team, and they've got some good guards, but they're not going to see UConn size. And then for North Carolina State, I do want them to get to the national championship because DJ Burns, especially against Duke the other day, he was going off. That was his game, and more power to him. Him and his guard, I believe last name is Hearns. They were doing their thing. So yeah, I personally see UConn winning because I don't see them losing. On the
I
women's
gotta
side,
spit my hate real quick.
I'm. You said what?
So I gotta spit my hate real quick.
Uh oh.
If my
What's the
team from
hate, bro?
Tobacco Road couldn't from the Tobacco Triangle couldn't be there, I don't want nobody to I don't want nobody there. So
Hey, well, man,
I'm
bro,
gonna
I
say
was
championship is gonna be UConn Purdue. Purdue taking it all the way. I believe in the big fella
wow.
from Purdue.
Are you believe in Zach Edey? Okay.
Yeah,
I
man.
also have UConn Purdue, but I got UConn beating Purdue.
Ah,
Yeah,
this would be
Hey,
interesting.
it really is. It really is. I'm kind of feeling the same way you feel, Law. Like I'm a Tar Heel fan as well, and I could not. Oh man, when Bama won, I was heated, and I like watching Bama football, but basketball, like I was not expecting that.
Yeah, no.
So naturally, I was mad, but I was so glad that North Carolina State beat out Duke. I'm like, okay, well, clearly I'm not a Wolfpack fan, but I cannot stand Duke. So yeah,
I
get
was gonna
them out of
say,
here,
yeah.
please.
It literally goes Carolina, State, Duke.
Pretty much. So yeah, and the women's tournament has gotten interesting. Now we've got our first two in the final four as I'm recording, and at the time of recording, it is of course the women of South Carolina, the Lady Gamecocks. Let's go, Dawn Staley. You already know what
let's
time it
go.
is. You already know who I'm cheering for. And oddly enough, North Carolina State beat out Texas.
Yeah.
So I was surprised, but it's kind of hard when one of your star players hits 7 3-pointers. I forgot her last name, but I know her. I would believe it's Asia Allen. Don't quote me on that, but she was lighting it up from three. So it's like it's really kind of hard to stop that. But I wanted it to be South Carolina and Texas, but that didn't happen. So at the time of the recording, of course, it is a tie game between LSU and Iowa for another spot in the Final Four on the
Oh
women's
man,
side.
Angel
Yeah.
Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, part what 3?
hmm And then later on, we're gonna have UConn versus USC. So that one, to be honest, I don't know who's gonna end up in the Final Four because between LSU and Iowa, that it could really be a coin flip for real, and it could be the same thing with USC and UConn on the ladies' side. That in mind, y'all already know who I want. I need the Gamecocks to go ahead and bring this home. I need Don
Yes,
Staley to
sir.
bring home another one.
I'm actually a Gamecocks fan for football. I don't like to say that
Hey,
out loud, but that's my team for football. So might as well go ahead and be real and ride with them. But I got South Carolina versus Howard in the finals.
Ooh, okay.
hmm, okay, that should be
Look,
interesting.
I'm keeping it all things North Carolina on the women's side. So, State versus Iowa coming off the other side of
Interesting.
the ball.
Ain't nobody picking LSU. Y'all not picking Flage and Angel.
Hey, look, they got that NIL.
They, they're cool. I mean, I just think I don't know, but like we don't know what's gonna happen because the game going on right now and it's the tie. But
Yeah,
man, like Caitlin Clark really different, bro. And
she is. I ain't gonna hold it.
I don't think she want to go out because I think this is her final season. I think
Yeah,
she gonna try
Yeah,
to
it is.
get a ring. But I just think South Carolina just got too much, bro. They way
They
too.
do.
They're well coached, bro. Like they just got too much. So I can see that they get into South Carolina and then South Carolina beat them by like 2,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
I'm definitely picking South Carolina to win. If it ends up being South Carolina versus Iowa, I don't see Caitlin Clark overcoming that team because they're just a well-oiled machine. Just watching the game yesterday, which is Sunday for those who aren't familiar, and seeing that South Carolina, of course, they were falling not behind, but as the game was progressing with Colorado, or no, not Colorado, excuse me, Oregon State, it seemed like Oregon State was just staying in the game, but they could never find a way to take the lead just because it was just too much. South Carolina always had an answer. It's like, oh, y'all getting too close. Nope, extend the lead a little bit more. Oregon State would catch up.
And
South Carolina will go on another run. So it's like they never let them get too far. It's like, nope,
and
y'all not riding this momentum past us.
that's what I loved about the coaching from Don Staley because in the interview after the game, I can't remember what player it was, but she was all like, "Who can stop us?" You know what I'm saying? Like she was talking trash in the interview, and then Coach Don Staley was like, "It was like, how do you feel about the game?" She said, "I feel like we blew a 22-point lead." And I was just like, bro, just that attitude that she has, bro. Like, I
Hmm.
don't see South Carolina losing, bro, because she's instilling that into those players. Even when they getting cocky, she probably saw that interview and then lit their ass up on the bus or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
so
Yep.
yeah.
I just know, like, you know what I'm saying. But that's the thing when you got those WNBA legends and stuff as coaches, because Cynthia Cooper was coaching at PV, and I remember like meeting Cynthia Cooper and stuff like that. She just had this dog in her. And it's just like, bro, like that's the difference I think for having those as coaches and stuff like that. Because it's like no lead is safe, and you shouldn't feel confident because you won. When in reality, you blew a 22-point lead. You can't do that against somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So I think that her being the coach or whatever and acknowledging that, I think that that's going to be something that she'll talk about going forward in a lot of stuff like that.
Hey, man, you said everything, man, for real, for real. And one thing that I like about Dawn Staley, especially as her coaching, and this is very specific, but one thing that I noticed about that game is that, of course, South Carolina was leading in rebounds. Like every time that there was a chance for a rebound, South Carolina was right there, whether it be offensive or defensive. And that's something that Don Staley preaches is rebound, 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 and second chance points. And that's really what separated them from Oregon State that game. So I just can't wait. And like Don Staley as a coach is she is such a phenomenal coach. And one of the things that I noticed, like during one of the half times, is that they said that when it comes to coaching, she'll let like the players talk a little bit, and then she'll listen in, and she says, "Okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? Tell me what you're doing," and then try to adjust them like that after listening to what they're doing on the court. And it's like, yo, it takes a great coach to be able to be like, "Tell me what you're doing. Okay, well, let's fix this. Let's do this, or let's try it like this, or say, keep doing what you're doing. However, let's have this player do this." Like that is phenomenal coaching. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Don Staley does. All right, we've gotten off the basketball talk real quick before we wrap up. It is WrestleMania week, ladies and gentlemen. You already know I'm a big wrestling fan. I'm going to be locked in this week. I know I'm currently watching the game right now, but still, I'm going to have wrestling on. I'm going to turn on Raw immediately afterwards, and I'm just going to, go through and see what Raw's looking like. And then, of course, I got to watch NXT. Then, of course, I got to watch SmackDown and the Hall of Fame and all of that. But it's WrestleMania season, and sooner or later, you're going to hear probably a prediction episode from me, and then you're going to hear a we'll do a review episode at the very end. So I'm looking forward to this WrestleMania, man. WrestleMania 40 this is the first time without persona non grata, aka Vincent Kennedy McMahon, being a part of it. Like, he's not a part of it whatsoever. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what TKO and Triple H cook up for this WrestleMania. But by all accounts, it is looking to be an absolutely phenomenal show. Big shout out to Jade Cargill, Naomi, aka Trinity, or Trinity, aka Naomi, and Bianca Belair, because at the end of the last week's SmackDown, all three of them were standing tall in the ring, and it was so refreshing to see three black women who look dominant ending the show. Like, I can't speak enough about them. Those three ladies right now, I'm expecting great things from Jade in her WWE run. Bianca is already one of the top superstars in the women's division, and seeing Naomi come back, I'd have high hopes for her. I know the booking the last few weeks has been kind of a little but I'm thinking that it was getting to this point, and I just can't wait to see what she does from this point forward. But yeah, man, WrestleMania is coming up. I don't know if the rest of my boys are gonna be watching, but I'm definitely gonna be tapped in and tuned in, and I'm definitely gonna give y'all the prediction episode and the review episode this week. Y'all got any comments about that?
So I don't watch wrestling or whatever, but I do keep up with y'all like talking about it between you, Omar, Bonnie, fucking I listen to the Midnight Boys podcast as well. So Van Lathan and them, they really big into wrestling and shit.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, we can hear you, Law.
so
Having
like,
technical difficulties.
oh shoot,
Um, as
I
far
understand.
as WrestleMania, I catch Raw here and there. I catch SmackDown every now and again. Um, it's just really whenever I have a chance to be able to stop and turn it on. In terms of the actual proceedings, I think it's gonna be pretty dope to see, like you said, how they are now getting black women back incorporated and being in the top rankings. Um, for if you get what I'm saying, like just to see how they reincorporate and bring black people back to the forefront. Because as you
Mm-hmm.
know, when it comes to the narratives, it's not always one of those things where we get to take the lead. So I'm excited to see how they write the script and everything plays out.
Absolutely. Steve, you got any more comments before we head out?
no, that was it. Most of the time, I just catch everybody else talking about it. You know what I'm saying? I haven't actually. I've been out of wrestling really since the Attitude Era. So like, I'm really far behind.
Hey, man, between the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era were great, but afterwards you ain't really missed nothing. The PG era was kind of like, it was hard being a wrestling fan during that time period, but you know, it is
Like
what
I
it
play,
is.
I still play the game. I got 2K23. I don't got
Mm-hmm.
the newest one, but I got the 23 or whatever, and I've been playing that one, running through the story mode, being the lock and everything like that. So I still play the games and stuff like that, but I actually haven't watched it. Wow.
I feel you, man. I feel you, but Anyway, guys, for my wrestling fans, y'all already know next week is going to be the WrestleMania review episode. It'll more than likely premiere on Wednesday as opposed to Tuesday, only because we want to include the entire WrestleMania weekend, and that includes SmackDown Hall of Fame, NXT Stand and Deliver, WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania Night 2, and the Raw after Mania. So more than likely you'll see that episode pop up on Wednesday as opposed to Tuesday. But once again, we're back on Tuesday nights. This episode, of course, will be live this Tuesday, April 2nd at 7 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 6 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Be sure that, of course, that you check it out. It'll go live on YouTube as well around that same time. And once again, y'all, we appreciate y'all joining us. If are there any new black businesses or black content creators or anything black that y'all want to highlight before we get up out of here?
Can we dis-highlight something?
Sure, go ahead.
I do not watch that Good Times reboot. Please, everybody
Oh,
listening to my
please don't.
voice, do
Please.
not watch that Good Times reboot. All right, thank you.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I got another D highlight. The Magical World for Negroes, or whatever that.
Yeah, get that out of here.
Yeah,
Get that out of here.
Let's D highlight that.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't watch those. Do not watch those at all. At all.
Also, I'm hearing that Jay-Z is coming under fire for the movie he just put out with what's his name? Gosh, it was right there on the tip of my tongue. Was it like Sacred something or?
Oh, shit, I don't know that.
I don't know that one either.
I'm pulling up AMC. I know we're trying to wrap it up.
Well,
Jesus Christ. I literally just had it.
It's cool, man, if you can't find it. We'll keep looking. But yeah, those are some shows that please do not watch.
Please, like for real, don't watch that Good Time shit. Like, soon as like I saw the trailer and I was like, I started tagging Carl Jones. I was like, I know you didn't put your step on this. And Carl was like, hell no, I didn't. He had to make sure he made it clear. He said, I love because of creative differences. And I mean, we already know what he stands for, so we know what the creative differences was, obviously. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, like, we know how really the Boondocks predicted this type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I can't believe that Steph Curry got his name on that.
Me either.
And then Seth MacFarlane making a black cartoon where they can say nigga and shit is just mind-boggling.
Very, very. The moment I saw his name on it, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, nah, we're not doing that. But
yeah, that was
yeah. Law, did you find the movie? He's still on me. I think he's having some technical difficulties right now. But in any case, guys, we're gonna go ahead and close out. Oh, there he is. Law, did you find the movie, bro?
No, I'm still looking for it. The book is it some movie? Clarence. The Book of Clarence.
Oh, yeah, that movie came out.
The Book of Clarence. He getting a lot of backlash for it.
Yeah, they're saying that it's blasphemous in the sense that, you know, he started out proclaiming or being the actor portraying Jesus, and then it's saying it's sacrilege, essentially.
Oh yeah, of course. That definitely, I can see that. It just was a lot of stuff in that movie that was kind of like, you could tell they was poking fun at it or whatever, trying to have fun at it, but they also was like trying to send a message about black culture as well. It just didn't work. It didn't work at all. But I mean, there's parts in there that's funny. I can't lie. I think Benedict Cumberbatch, him being in there as like a homeless man, and like Clarence was supposed to be quote unquote the fake Jesus, and then there was an actual real Jesus.
Yeah.
But like Benedict Cumberbatch ended up being a homeless man, and they cleaned him up real nice. And when they cleaned him up real nice, they was like kind of like treat him like he was, a witchcraft type thing. So they hung him. They held him up on a cross too. And then they only drew pictures of Benedict Cumberbatch. So they was like, that's why people feel like Jesus is white. It was kind of one of those type of things. It
Wow.
was a lot going on. Yeah, it was a lot going on.
Alrighty then. Alrighty then. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and close out with the rundown, which is, of course, us giving a shout out to any podcast, Black content creators, Black artists, and Black businesses who have either been a part of this podcast or have supported this podcast. Of course, for our podcast shout outs, y'all already know, big shout out to Show Go High. Shout out to the gang over there. And of course, Inside the Mind of a Blurred, founded by none other than Steve himself. And of course, Mike Check Wifey, Worst Generation Pod, and Blaname Podcast. I'm a Patreon subscriber to all three of those. So please be sure that you subscribe to all three of these Patreons, as well as Inside the Mind of a Blurred's Patreon as well. Big shout out to Truth and Transparency Podcast for Brother X, the Culture Scientist, and Mr. Smith. Big shout out to Kay Renee. She's still working on the name of her new podcast, but in the meantime, please be sure that you check out her novellas under the pen name Sedona Rose. It's So Real with Raquel and Onaji. Dad Needs to Talk with Rob, the father of Vash, Analytical, Where Shit Gets Critical, Geek Said Podcast, Anime Junkies, Three Weeds in a Podcast. Of course, big shout out to BNT at Those Anime Girls. And of course, shout out to my boy Jay Mills and his podcast, The Commute. For Black content creators, we got Off Black Mag with Aaron, HBCU Anime with Evan. Of course, Sundari has been going crazy with her pod right now and all the interviews that she's doing. So please be sure that you check her out. Cerberus Entertainment, of course. For our streamers, we've got Tatted Poodle, we've got the Geechee Gamer, who is actually coming back to Charleston. And so I'm definitely going to be hooking up with Kiana soon so that way we can have a discussion as well. But big shout out to her. I know that she's got to come home to take care of some things. So I'll be talking to her on the side. But yeah, Icarus Metro Comics with my boy Calvin. Big shout out to Hubtaku. You already know the gang over there. Shout out to Shelby, of course, with Simply Janine, Simply Baked, and Rose Less Travel. Please be sure that you support her whenever she starts her streaming journey. Strange Keith with Idols to Icons, Toasty Marshmallow, Simone with Basimo Malcolm, Courtney, none of my friends watch anime, Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer Rage, Chris with Chris Madarame, and Sham with One Punch Sham, aka the Corner Five. And of course, big shout out to Scuba Steve and Alpha with Birdmind Productions. For our Black artists, of course, big shout out to NASA, Scoozy, Jack Union, Phil.me, Ellis Quinn, RJ Stackhouse, Quarter, Tyrone Leak Jr., our girl Ari Lachelle, Zach Hines and Fortresses, Elena, and of course Zainab, and of course for Black businesses, shout out to Already Paid by Dre, Fresh Nerds, Righteous Minds by Timo. Of course, you can see the shirt over here. KSS Brand by Christina, Cream Cosmetics by Naima, Mind Over Money by Mr. Main, Studio Maho with Pat Yin. Big shout out to Concept Moon. Big shout out to She Designs 2 with my girl Erin. Black Magic / Lit Wands with my girls Low and T. H4 Creative by my girl Zenobia. Real Estate Stone with Meredith. Soda by Bell by Mariah. Blur Mind Studios with, again, Steve. Good Vibes Only, again, with NASA. And of course, big shout out to Scrappy Sentiment with our girl Sappy. So, with that, be sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Chaotic Culture Podcast on your favorite digital service provider. Please be sure that you subscribe to the Patreon for early access to the podcast and bonus episodes. Of course, you can subscribe at any of the 4 levels, or it'd be $3, $5, $7, or $10. Either way, we appreciate your support. You can follow us on our Facebook page at Chaotic Culture Podcast. You can also follow us on Instagram at Chaotic Culture Pod and follow us on X/Twitter at Chaotic_Culture. You can follow me, Cat the Pro, that's K3D the Pro on all social media. You can follow Law at L.JR_96 on Instagram and on X/Twitter at Law96_. You can follow Scuba Steve on all social media at Scuba Steve 1428. You can follow Miss Nasa on all social media at I'm Nakaso. You can follow Scrappy. You can follow Sappy. Goodness gracious. I'm sorry, Sappy. But you can follow Sappy at Scraps14 on all social media. And of course, you can follow Jay at Jay Lee Trey on all social media. And this has been another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. So until next time, folks, remember, embrace the culture, chaos rules. Be blessed, be safe, God is love, be easy.
One.